Hi, this is Kendra from Pencil and Pigment, and today I'm going to be doing a portrait illustration, and it's going to have a bit of negative space. Negative space is a whole different animal. I'm going to be using the Uniball Signo. This is the gold, the high release, and the reason I like gold with this paper is very ivory. Let me show you. This is the Pentalic sketch. I have this for cleaning my pens, so it literally just looks like this. But the paper of this one is really, really white. And for paper that's super white that almost has a blue sheen, I really like silver, because this is like a cool paper. And for paper that is warm and ivory, oh, my cats are having a conversation. I really like gold. So that is why I've chosen gold for today. Ladies. Oh no, I have to break it up. Hold on. I don't know why they can't share, but sometimes they just aren't in the mood. So the thing with negative space is shape. And if you're just starting out and you're new to drawing and doodling and illustration, shape can be tricky to sort of navigate around. And this is sort of like an upside down teardrop. Just think of it as rounded. And this part sort of can either come to a point or it can be cut off by the bottom of the page, and then you fill in the bits you want to show that denotes that this is an owl. This one was a lot trickier, especially because with pen and ink you can't erase. So trying to figure out the shape of the fingers and then denote fingernails. And these are the eyebrows, the face is in shadow. We have like a little bit that comes into the lip, and then this is the edge of the face. And then this is the hair that's pulled back. Sometimes it really, really helps to pre-sketch things like this, especially if you're just starting out, because you want to make sure that you get these weird little shapes correct. And these are the shapes you draw, and then the illustration comes forth. So if your fingers are unevenly shaped or start to look kind of wonky, you can't go back and change it, especially if you're doing ink. So I'm going to do another portrait today. It won't be quite as convoluted as that other one, but I'm going to start with the eyeball. I like starting with the eye. I know where I'm at with the page, and yeah, so eyeball. And again, it's just figuring out shapes and angles and where things start and where things end. If you're trying to figure out references, like if you want to start with reference photos, if that helps while you're beginning and working on this, start with photos on your phone, and then turn your photos black and white. And there's a filter that's, I think it's Noir. It's very high contrast. And when you have a high contrast black and white, you can really start to see where the shapes are, what's important, what you want to keep, what you want to kind of get rid of. And if you want to stipple and do little dots, if you don't. And I'm going to go into the shadow of a nose here. That's what I'm going to do. This is a high release pen. So a lot of ink. It doesn't really do super fine. It's not like an 05. It doesn't do really fine lines or anything. So if you like working very tiny, very minuscule, you will find this pen to be frustrating, because it just doesn't. But if you want a very even opaque laydown of a metallic color, I really like this. I like this more than the Posca. The Posca is a little bit more brassy to me and not quite as opaque. But because this pen is sort of high flow, a lot comes out, you really can go through them. So that's why I do the 3-pack. Anyway. Trying to figure out what angle I want all this to look. Yeah. with me. Grab a sketchbook. Let's hang out. Let's talk negative space. Let's talk the best way to do negative space. For every illustration you go to draw, it's going to be a little different. So depending on your subject matter, depending on the surface, depending on the medium you're using, the negative space is going to look different, be different, feel different, take a different amount of time to complete, to put together. That's just sort of the nature of the beast. That's why it's kind of, it can be a little tricky. You can practice with grabbing items of unusual shape, like scissors, and literally sketching around scissors and understanding the shape of the scissors and then filling that in. There are like little things like that you can do. Wet Canvas is sort of a forum where people can talk and write about art stuff. I found a really good articles and subject matter on negative space that this gentleman put together. I will link that in the description box. I really like reading, so that sort of format for learning new information works for me. If you are more of a video person than a reading person, YouTube, obviously, is a really good format for you for tips, tricks, ideas for just starting out with negative space. Again, you probably don't want to start with a portrait unless like portraits are your thing and you do a lot of them. Yeah. If portraits aren't your thing and you hardly ever draw them, I would suggest to start with something else and figure out that shape accordingly. I'm going to start with the lip and the cheek, and I'm going to come back up. Yep, sure am. This paper is gridded, and I'm always like, why don't I use the grids and take advantage of that? I never do. I never do. I really, really should. And I want to denote an ear somehow. So ear, nose, shadow. Will come out over here, I think. And then it's a lot of coloring in and filling in. Watch me color. Hang out with me. I'm totally losing my voice, and I apologize for that. It's been super rainy. And March is always a wet one here, so maybe you can hear the rain of forest life, but yep. Watch me kill a pen. I do. I like gold on this paper. I like gold on ivory. I think it looks nice. I need to figure out where I'm going to stop the arch of the face and start to come down. I think maybe right here. We'll work on a neck. I know. And then I want to come down. So here is the lights coming from over here, and all of this is going to be more in shadow. So figure out, with negative space, you can have a lot of fun with shadow and light. Boy, the rain. And figure out the shape of things. I love portraits. People fascinate me. Okay, I kind of want to denote a second bottom lip, and I'm gonna arch it like this. Again, shadow and light, and understanding what that looks like, and and coloring these bits in. Okay. I'm kind of gonna go like this, I think. Okay. It slowly starts to come together. Negative space is weird. I like it. It's just a challenge because there are no like hard, fast rules. And what you decide you want to put into your illustration is going to be so different from the next time you go to draw and do another negative space. So maybe you don't even want to show an eye. Maybe you don't care about the bottom half of the face. Maybe it's more abstract. These are all things to think about. Again, artistic licensing when doing this stuff. About what's important, what you want to show, how you want to blend things in and out. I like the lines to look smooth. But you can see this is a lot of ink, and this is the Tomoe River Sans and paper, and so there is a little bit of a warp because it's so heavy. I don't mind that, that's part of the charm. But if you're working with really, really fine paper and you want to use this pen, just know it's going to warp and buckle and stuff because of the amount of ink that's being laid down. Again, I don't, that's not a thing that bothers me. I'm not doing anything with this. This is just sort of my daily practice for creating and drawing and doing some things I love outside of my main project this year. So I don't mind if things look a little wonky, look a little weird. It's all the creative process. And for negative space, the more you do it, obviously, the better you get. It's practice. Practice everything all the time. So I don't know how to get good at it unless I did the exact same subject matter and then practiced light from all angles over and over and over and over and over. But I find sometimes I do more negative space with portraits, and sometimes I lean in more towards animals, and that really does change the shape of the illustration. I kind of want to come over here, I think. This is going to have way less light, or way less drop shadow, so I think this will work. We shall see. You know what I mean? And the pupil. Like I said, it's really hard to get thin lines with this pen, but you know, you can't have everything with any one medium, so figure out what's important to you in your illustrations, like what you want to keep, what you don't. And this is still really wet, so I don't want to drag my hand through it. That'll really take the progress. So you can see how juicy it is. Anyway. Okay. So, eyes, nose, and then we need to do an eyebrow. We have an eyebrow on this side sort of breaking up, so we'll do one on the other side. But we're going to make it thinner because, again, this is where the light is. Alrighty-ighty. Starting to look like a face, and then we need to figure out, let's see, let's come up here and start to work on hair and the rest of the face shape. This is pretty quick going. If you use something like a brush pen, like a Tombow or something, where it's even wider and thicker, this would go quicker. So depending on how comfortable you get with your different subject matters when you go to do negative space, they can be fairly quick illustrations because you're just showing little bits and pieces. Here, let me show you one. Like what you want to show, what's important, and then the rest you leave blank, and that's the negative space. Like you can just do very minimal amount of ink and then you still have a portrait. Again, it's practice and you figure out the shape of the eye, the shape of what that would look like if it's just sitting by itself, and then does it still look like an eye? I think I want some like loose hairs and things. I like wild hair. And I'm coloring over the little calendar because I don't care. I don't care about it for today. Some days I leave it, some days I draw around it, and some days I just color over it. So, doesn't bother me if it doesn't bother you. It's cute. I like it. I don't mind it. But with negative space, I do want to go all the way to the top, so I have some backup paper I can get ink on here. And then, so even if you're not adding like a ton of ink and stuff, you're still going, like this illustration goes from the top of the page to the bottom of the page. So even though sort of the blank areas are part of the negative space, it still looks like a full illustration. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, it looks like I've done my work, even though half of it is blank. That's the point. A little stipple blended out. Here, take this away. I love a good stipple. So that's sort of the face. And I can come up, if we want to get weird, and we absolutely can. We can get weird if you want. We can do, I don't know, we can come up with a thing of weird shadow shapes. And with the weird shadow shapes, we can denote the other side of the neck, sort of. If we want to have strange, unusual, like maybe there's something that's creating a weird shadow, like a lace curtain, or I don't know. We can just do weird shapes. And it can look like it belongs. And you can figure out how you want that to look, how you want that to break apart. Maybe the shadow shapes go on the face. You know, maybe there's like flowers in the hair or something that's creating more shadow. We can go into the eye with it. It can be as weird and unusual as you want it to be. You know, maybe you're just trying to add a little bit of interest and intrigue into the drawing. I don't know. Kind of unusual. So, if you want to have funky things, let's get one way out here. Maybe they're in the shape of flowers, sort of loose. I don't know, carnation shapes maybe. I don't know. Just keep going until we figure out what it is we want to do here. All right. So there is my portrait. There is my negative space. We have, let's sort of stipple this out a little bit. It's a little softer. Then I kind of want the lip to come to the center of the eye. I don't know, you figure out how you like your portraits and your faces and where you want things to sort of start and stop. Then that's how you arrange the shape of it. Like, it's just kind of, they're shapes. So your brain wants to put it together a different way, and you have to trick your brain into doing it differently and looking a little differently. So you figure out the shapes and the shadow and how you want that to look. And then from there, let's see, maybe we'll come down a little bit more here. With the pieces, and the pieces make the face. So understanding, you could even look up on like Pinterest, like high contrast portrait, portrait in shadow, portrait in light. You really want extremes when you're trying to do negative space. You really want to see things that are so vastly different from one side to the other that when you put it together, it looks really unique. It's more dynamic that way. And then if you want to put in a background portion or have some text or make some notes, things like that with the other background spaces, like trying to figure out exact shape and then filling in what you want things to look like. Like I can fade this into the background if I want, or I can add a secondary color. The more colors you add, the more it sort of takes away from the shape and you start to see the color more. That's why I do these monochromatic, because I really want to see the form. I really want to see the circles. I want to see the lines. I want to see the slopes, the arches. I want to see how this comes together to create the face, the pieces. And practice. Practice, 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 practice. So get examples, go on royalty-free sites for pictures, for portraits, go on Pinterest. And there are some models, like modeling agencies where they have like their photo and stuff. And sometimes those are in black and white and they're really workable. You could take pictures of your family. Again, turn those black and white on your phone. Find the filter that you can, the more high-tech your phone is, the more options you have for photo editing, and play with the exposure and play with the lighting, play with the shadows, play with the filters, and you just want to see the shape. So just draw the shape, not the picture. Like you want the circle, you want the arching lines, and then it comes together that way. I hope this helps a little bit. Again, we can keep doing this. We can keep doing negative space and talking about it and looking at it and examining it, because again, it's so different from subject matter to subject matter and what you want to show and what's important to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful week, and I will talk to you later. Bye.